Alright, so you want to talk about the protector of man? Was his name?
Alexander. Uh, he was just called Alexander in his lifetime. Um, some people he made alliances with would call him my lord. He was the guy that most of the people wanted to be allied with him politically because he was the best military commander and had the best army of the age. He had a great grandfather named Alexander, and some Macedonian kings that had been treated badly by other powers would name their son Alexander, protector of men, almost like a prayer to the gods that this person would help solidify the kingdom's deliverance from outside interference. Macedonia was not very defensible. It was in the north. They had barbarian tribes.
Well, they were barbarians too, right?
They were Greek. Well, originally all the Greeks were barbarians, but
that's
then
right.
They were one of 5 nations of invaders who came to be called Greeks, I think, by the Latins.
So they were like the later cousins of the Greeks.
They were kind of like the other Greeks. Think of Virginia and West Virginia.
Okay.
The planters down on the coast, up to Richmond, they would be like the Athenians, and then the people in the Shenandoah Valley would be like the Thebans and the Spartans, and then the Macedonians and the Aetolians and the Epirites and the Masolians, they would be like the people in West Virginia and the Ohio Valley and Western Pennsylvania, which Virginia claimed.
Right.
So you could think of it like that. They were regarded as less cultured. Alexander, even at one point in his career, did tell his men, he reminded them that his father found them wearing animal skins. And now they wore silk, and now many of them were as powerful as kings, and that he had given everything away. Alexander never kept anything for himself other than his weapons and his armor and his clothes and his horse. That was it. And he regarded everything as the property of his men. So in that way he behaved like a barbarian warlord. People like Tamerlane and Genghis Khan, they just gave everything away, which is what Native American chiefs also did. Only the purely civilized kings kept things for themselves.
Yeah, it's interesting. It seems like the sweet spot for, at least, I don't know, us Europeans, it seems to be between barbarism and civilization.
Yeah, so they were a step away from the barbarians. They spoke a dialect. I think it was the Macedonians more than anybody that spread Koine is the way you spell it. And I know Professor David Carl told me in Greek you pronounce every letter, but my mouth doesn't wrap around that very well. I'm sure your viewer Achilles will be able to send a comment on how exactly that's pronounced. He's actually doing the job of reading my book on Alexander and checking my half-assed translations of Greek names and correcting them and sprucing them up.
And just real quick, because we'll do more Alexander vids, because he's great. Alexander's great. Right?
The Romans called him Alexander Magnus. It was the Romans that decided that he was great.
That's right. Well, the thing is, the skills he would have had, he would fight. He would fight guys. He would go in and start fighting.
He had 5 really terrible war wounds. His father was a shambling wreck in middle age.
Yeah, because of that.
I mean, he had a crushed shoulder. He had a lame arm. He had a broken back. He limped. He needed help getting on a horse. He didn't even bother trying to command the cavalry anymore. He had his son do that. So the Macedonian war leaders, they led from the front. This is what made them so effective.
And he knew, and in terms of weapon skills, would he know how to use the long spear, the javelin, or was it just the sword, the shield, or he would know a whole range of skills? Probably not archery, but...
Well, we should probably do a separate video on what his combat skill set was.
All right, we'll do that.
Okay, but because it was extensive, and it's a whole subject of itself.